Welcome back to Bull Sessions here on 680 KFEQ. You can email your questions or comments to bull@willcross.net. Once again, here's Randy Baker and agronomist Brad Law.
We're back to Bull Sessions, Brad.
Guess what?
What?
I get to be over here by the control board again.
You did move again.
Yes. So I have the controls.
You know, and this is the second time that's happened, and I really prefer you being over there.
You do?
I do.
Well, and I don't know how this ranked, but you got to sit next to the pretty girl.
I did.
Just like in school.
Yep.
I can't take you very few places, and that's why you're controlled over there.
Yeah, they put the nerd behind the control panel and let you over there with the girls. I see how it is.
Don't buffalo everybody. Miles is watching his every move.
Just wait. Hey.
Okay, we got a new thing we're doing. I told you, Ladies in Ag.
Yes.
And we're going to start doing that every week. So just like our Focus on the Farmer, which is coming up in the fourth segment, how do we nominate a lady?
Well, you can send an email to bull@willcross.net.
Yep.
Or you can get a hold of Randy and me up at the Seed House. You can swing by. We're just there on the north end of town. Or you can even give us a holler on the phone. We've got an easy phone number of that 660-535-444.
Yes.
And that was, or email bull@willcross.net.
Yes, we want that on Ladies in Ag, and we want that also on Focus on Our Farmers or farm families, however you want to do it. But
you've got somebody interesting to talk about, an interesting lady in ag right here.
I do. Her name is Erin Mullins. She lives up by Ravenwood. She's been into beekeeping since 2011.
We like our pollinators.
Oh, we got to have them. That's a big deal, a very big deal. I asked her how she got started. She said when she was a kid, she was around her folks' farm or whatever, and so she took a few classes. I didn't know this, but they have a Bee Busters Club.
Bee Busters.
Bee Busters. She's in the Missouri State Beekeepers Association. She was Missouri Honey Princess in 2014.
Honey Princess.
And then she was Missouri Honey Queen in 2015.
So was she the queen bee then?
That's what I told her. She giggled too. And then she was Beekeeper of the Year for 2016. So this young lady knows what she's doing. In fact, in a couple weeks, we're going to have her on the show.
That is cool.
She said she'd like to come on because we want to promote that. That's agriculture, and that's what we're about here at Bull Sessions. So,
yes.
But what we're also about is, like you said, this beautiful young lady, Kyra Carlson, with Farm Bureau Insurance.
Now, I thought you had a BuzzFeed report for me, didn't you?
Not
a BuzzFeed, a Buzzsaw report. A Buzzsaw report, didn't you?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I'm sorry, Randy. You're fake news. We can't go on. I'm going to talk to Kyra now.
Oh, you are so funny.
I know. That was mean.
I apologize, Kyra.
Oh, you're fine.
For him. You know him, though, right?
I do. I do.
Well, we are going to talk with Kyra about farm insurance, and because we all pay for insurance, and you've got your vehicles. You have to have them to get them on the road.
Yep.
But then you think about this. How much assets does it take to farm? You've got tractors, combines, equipment, and they're not just a few $1,000s a piece. They're tens to $100,000s of dollars for each piece of equipment. And in the eyes of somebody that is chasing an ambulance, you've got a lot of money wrapped up. And if for some reason they got hurt because of an accident on the highway passing a field cultivator or whatever, you're at fault because you're the farmer, and they're going to go after every penny you have.
Right.
So insurance is important about that. And just, how do people, what would be a way for people to go about of determining how much coverage should they have?
Right. So the most important part of your policy, in my opinion, is your liability coverage. And the reason for that is that is covering basically what your net worth is. So net worth, take everything you own, sell it, and pay off all your debtors. And that's your net worth. And so your liability is intended to cover your net worth if somebody were to find you negligent, either farming, even if you're not a farmer, they can come out and sue you for what you're worth if they find you negligent on the road. You turned left and you didn't use a signal, little things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to, when they find out how much you're worth, that's what they're going to sue you for, and that's what they're trying to get from you. So when you go and you look on your deck pages of your policy, just make sure that liability coverage is equal to what your net worth is. Otherwise, the insurance company is going to cover up to what's on that policy, and then unfortunately, the rest is going to come out of your own pocket. So all that you've worked hard for, and we know how hard farmers work, and all you got to do is ask a farmer's wife and find out how hard they work and that they're gone all summer and all those things. So you don't want to lose everything that you worked hard for just because you don't have the correct coverage.
And things can happen in such a split second. I mean, personally, I was coming home from taking a load of beans to the elevator several years ago, and a few cars in front of me stopped and made a left-hand turn, and the cars in front of me stopped, and when I went to stop, the trailer come around on the semi and jackknifed, and, we had a fatality from that accident, and we were filed against, and we went to federal court to settle that, and the insurance was a huge factor to protect my assets to cover that. So it can happen to anybody.
Right.
And one thing we could lead into was, what is an umbrella policy? I mean, you think of it, it's raining, we need an umbrella, but on the farm, and what can we do with an umbrella policy? And they're really not that expensive.
Right. Liability is your most affordable coverage that you can have. So an umbrella policy, it comes into effect after you have your base policy. Your base policy is your home and your farming machinery, and then just your base liability coverage. And then if you own a lot of acres, as you know, farm ground is worth a significant amount more than it used to be, 15 years ago.
Those local realtors have just really worked to run that land value up, haven't they?
Well, it's a supply and demand type of thing. If somebody's gonna pay for it,
Yeah.
You wouldn't know any good realtors?
I do know a few good.
A few.
A few. Yeah, I'm partial to one at least.
You're partial to one. Okay.
But yeah.
I think you married one.
I did marry one. He wasn't one when I married him, but he
and we
found
can
the
go
profession.
ahead and say his name.
Yes, Bobby Carlson. Yep. If you don't know him,
They're in cahoots.
They're in cahoots.
He does do a good job of selling the farm ground. For
Yes,
sure.
he does. Right there in King City too.
Yep. But absolutely, land price has gone up. It's kind of settling down a little bit more now. But obviously, if you haven't had your policy reviewed in the last 5 years, you probably have a considerable more net worth now than you did 5 years ago. And so that's the importance of meeting with your agent every single year, looking over what your policy is, and just making sure this is the coverage that you think you have.
Every
really.
year.
Yeah, it's a good
need
idea.
To do that.
Absolutely, and even with machinery and cattle, your herd's changing throughout the year. Your machinery changes, you buy and sell. And so I really feel, especially with farmers, it's important to review those at least once a year.
You're making me think here because I have Farm Bureau insurance, and it's been 5 years since I've done anything.
Need to have it reviewed. Yep. And it's one of those things, you as an insured, it's not something you think all the time, oh, I'm excited, I'm going to go meet with my insurance agent, we need to review our policy, this is going to be fun. But really, you sit down, 10 minutes,
And, we did a lot of stuff for my policy via email.
Right, absolutely.
You can, send your agent an email. They can email you back, and you can lay there in bed and go through that PDF on your phone and be like, oh, because we saw some stuff on some other family members' policy that's way underinsured.
Right.
The value of this is way less than what it should be.
Right.
I don't know what, but it was set 20 years ago.
Right.
So, we need to adjust those and say, oh, this is still worth, this didn't depreciate. It actually appreciated in value, so we need to cover it a little more.
Right. And the thing is, unless you are an insurance agent, you don't know all the detail. You don't know what all that policy even honestly means. It's impossible till you get into it and really study it. So don't ever be afraid to ask questions. And just, be upfront with your agent and conversate back and forth. That's the best way to find out and make sure that you're covered.
Well, and that's a good point that, even no matter what the topic is, whether it's insurance, whether it's weed control, whether it's soil fertility or seed selection, the only stupid questions are ones that you don't ask. Because if you may think it's a stupid question, but it's actually a really good question that several people have, or, oh, well, that could save me, a bunch of money in the long, if something does happen, knowing that, like, you were telling me about my bobcat, that if I go out and I'm, say, digging a hole or working on a pond dam, typically if you destroy your bobcat, it's because you flipped it over.
Right.
And that's a special another check mark.
Yep, absolutely.
Can you explain more about the...
So there's different extensions to your policies. You can have what they call upset and overturn collision coverage, so that if you're in your tractor, which a lot of times it happens, you're mowing along a bank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You overestimate the capability of how far down you can mow, and you tip over the tractor, and oops, we've broke some windshield, torn it up, whatever.
Farmers don't push it to the edge, do they?
No, never.
Surely not, Kyra.
They just want those Will-Cross soybeans that are along the highway to look awesome.
Yep.
Or maybe their seed guy put that post out a little too far, so they switch.
Not ours.
Ours.
Not ours.
And we get it on our end, We understand you're trying to, keep your bills down as much as possible. I understand that. But also when it comes claim time.
Can I hold you up for 1 second?
Go right ahead.
Miles is frantically waving at me to get out of here for a commercial break.
There's the dance.
We're going to do that. And when we come back, we're going to talk a lot more to Kyra on this very important part of our puzzle. When we come back to Bull Sessions on 680 KFEQ.